Okay, mic should not be working. Okay, mic should not be working.
Christ, that sounds awful.
Okay.
Hold on. I'm muting the follow-up so that I can fix this. Oh wait, this sounds fine now. Okay. Because it just took a second for it to connect. Alright, let me pop out the chats. Pop out 1. Pop out 2. Head back to our dashboard. Throw you down there. And throw you up here. Okay. Everything's set up. Welcome back, everybody. I've been super fucking lazy all weekend, but decided I should kick myself off the couch and actually get to work. So thank God that I have my stream set up properly, because I just realized my stream key was visible, but not to you guys. Oh, thank God. All right. Let's see. Friday we were working on health, and I was trying to figure out how the combat would work more. The stream ended because OBS crashed, and I had spent like 30 minutes trying to figure out the fuck it was wrong with it, and by that point it was like 4 a.m., so I just went to bed. So we got it sorted, and then now we're up to here. Okay, so Friday we managed to figure out, I think, most of the rules and how the kind of the principles of what I wanted the wound system to do. I'm still a little hazy on the numbers, but the important thing is that I think we have the idea basically done. And so the next thing was going to come down to getting the actual numbers implemented and balanced. And then off of that, there were a few chains that need to be addressed. Let me pull up Old Faithful. 1 second. Go to Documents. Stream visible notepad. Oh, that's important. Okay, if I... Let me check. Oh. Properties. There. I hit OK, and I click on it. Sorry, hold on. Automatic scene switcher. Nope. Advanced scene switcher. Hide notepad. If window, streams will notepad, and not. Scene. Okay, so now if I close this and I go here and then I alt tab over to the notepad, it should pop up now, unless I change you. close that. Now, it should work. Oh wait, it's probably behind it. That's the issue. Hold on. There we go. Okay. Let me move this box over to the left here, scale it down. Now if I click this, it'll open it. Oh, that's way too fucking small. Expand it up a bit, slide it over. That's still a bit small. Maybe I oversize it and then like cut back the window. Nope, that did not do what I wanted it to. Fuck it. Okay, we'll just do it like this. Fine, clicking on it enough to make notes, then we'll look at it. Alright, so that's in case I need to restart Nginx. So the things that I wanted to cover were... Why is it that the second I go to start writing on it, it disappears? I click off, I click back onto it. Oh no! Wait, if I hit enter... Oh no! It's recognizing it by the name of the window, and when you edit the window, it puts an asterisk in it to indicate that it hasn't saved yet, and that's why it's disappearing. Hold on. Is there a way to change that? If I hide notepad, if window... Can I add multiple windows to set it to OR itself? If window, or add a new one, or window. This is a goofy fucking idea. Okay. Stream visible, or put an asterisk in front. There we go. Then I should be able to close that. And now if I click this, we got it. If I edit it, we got it. Okay. That's hilarious. Okay, so what we wanted to do is the things that came up at the end of the last session were double checking the attack formula. Because it got reworked recently, and I need to double check to make sure that it's the way I want it to be. The other thing was armor gaps as a stat needed to be checked up on. That I'm not too sure about. And then we need to still do more weapon designs. I probably need to rework some weapon traits. We'll look through those. And then there's going to need to be... let's start with armor gaps. So, at the end of the last session, we talked about the idea that weapons having their size matter could be really useful when determining dex attacks. So the idea was, if you're attacking with it, and this is, maybe I don't like this. I've thought about it a little bit since last time, and I haven't fully decided yet. The question became, what stat do you use to swing with, and what stat do you use to block with? And the way that I envisioned it was that some stats used dexterity, and some used strength. And so, like a dagger or something like a longsword used dexterity, and then something like a axe used strength. And the general idea was, if you don't care about aiming and you're just willing to fucking cleave them, then you would use strength. But if you actually cared about what you were attacking, you'd use longsword. So like a longsword would care about what part of the body it hits. It's aiming for particular points. And then if so, it would want to use dex. However, the way that the combat's currently set up, you're currently always doing called shot, basically, which then is mostly just because I don't want to invent tables for randomizing hit locations, because it's going to change a lot depending upon the race and like, oh, let's say that they lost their left arm. Do we modify the hit table? Do we just make them re-roll it? Let's say that they are, they've got enlarge on them. Does the hit chance change? Or they're a dwarf, or they're a halfling, or they're a snake, or they're a centipede, or whatever the fuck. I just don't want to have to make hit location tables. So then it was like, okay, well, if we have hit locations, we don't want to do tables, then we do let the hit locations be always targeted, which kind of makes sense anyways, right? Like, for balancing, people typically don't do this, but for like when you are actually swinging a weapon, more or less there's like a body part, maybe two, that you're aiming at whenever you swing, and even more so if you're stabbing. So I was like, that's fine if we make everything a called shot. I'm okay with that. But then the question became, when the defender wants to block your attack, are they using dex or are they using strength? Because I want to say, if I'm going to swing you with a fucking axe, you should not be able to roll dex to block it. Like, you're clashing with this weapon and you're going to try to stop it in its tracks, and that's painful. Or you're trying to sidestep it. Like, you can try to maybe get cheeky with like some glancing effects with maybe like a longsword or something, but like for the most part you're trying to fucking fight against it. And then similarly, or conversely, what's the word there, on the opposite side but in the same but not opposite in meaning, I think that's conversely, if you have a dagger using a dex attack, then you shouldn't be able, like, part of you attacking with an, or blocking it with an axe should be trying to block the dagger at the exact point the dagger's attacking you. You shouldn't just be able to roll strength to resist that, because you gotta match the hand-eye for it. That's what makes knives scary, is that you have to get to the knife every single time it goes to attack you, and any little fuck up and it's gonna cut you. And so then the question became, oh, well, the idea was we just let them roll strength or roll dex depending upon what they're attacking with, and then that's what you block with. So if you're attacked with a dex weapon, you block with a dex weapon. If you're attacked with a strength weapon, you block with a strength. And that's how you did it. And then the question became, okay, well, if that's true, are there any modifiers that we want to apply to indicate the weapon discrepancies here? So, like, if you swing at me with an axe and I go to try to strength block it with a dagger, do I get any penalties for it? And then the idea became, yes, the penalty for strength was, or the strength bonus was, did I write it down somewhere? Fuck, please tell me I wrote it down somewhere. I believe the idea became that we would use, no, not range. Maybe it was strength requirement. We use strength requirements as the weapon, because strength requirements is the heft of the weapon. So if it's a heavier weapon, then that's what matters. And so that's what you would do. You would take the difference in the strength requirements, and that's what you would go to town with. And so, if my strength difference is 3, then I use, +3 to my roll or whatever. And then the idea became, well, for dex, the thing that makes it scary is the size difference. Where if you have, a strength, if you have like a small dagger, blocking that small dagger with your big axe is kind of a bitch. It can hit through just the right opening and you're in a lot of trouble. And so that became the question. So then the next question became, should the same thing apply to armor? And I think I'm gonna have to rework the size number here. So then we can question. Yeah, let me go back. So then it became the question of, should this apply to armor? Should a cap or a jacket have a cover rating, or like how much it protects that body part, how wide of a surface area it has, so that you then know to use, like, whether or not the dagger is going to fit in that fucking slot. So, if you go to try to stab, like a weak shoulder point that doesn't have plate covering it, with a rapier versus a dwarven great axe, they're going to be entirely different possibilities, basically, even maybe if they're allowed at all. And so then it was like, oh, well, we could make a cover rating number. But then I think if I do that, I think I have to rework the size stat here to be cover rating per attack profile. Which I think is fine. The only thing that would worry me a little bit is if I cared about the overall size stat of the weapon, because that's what this originally was, right? It was like how big the weapon is in general. But I feel like I could probably just have a way to, like, take the highest of its profiles, or take the, take the, like, biggest damage, or maybe combine them, whatever it is. I could come up with some easy formula that does it, I think. And then I can split these over the profiles. So I think if I do this, okay, I think we go for axes. So this is supposed to be a war axe is like the one-handed, not hatchet, but almost hatchet axe. And I feel like it's gonna be to hit with the axe head versus the. So this is like if you have an axe on one side and like a spike on the other, kind of like a pickaxe, I guess, but the back half isn't the flat one; it's the like an actual axe blade. So this is going to be... Okay, let's do our minimums. So I think the true minimum is going to be... I guess it depends on if I go down to negatives. Because, like, I think the real lowest is going to be, like, swarm units. Like, if you're, like, surrounded by, like, a swarm of spiders or something like that, that normally is, like, a big, like, 10-foot by 10-foot circle... I feel like if I give them a small, very, 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 very small attack size, then that makes sense, right? Because they're able to get through all the gaps in your armor, and it makes armor useless. And that's kind of horrifying. And so I could indicate that with a very easy stat change. So if I make them the least, then... then I just have to figure out what I'm going to do for the sizes. So I guess I thought about making those negative, but if I made those 0, truly 0, then I could make daggers 1. Let's do that. We'll make daggers 1, and then we'll make like rapier points 1. Let me add a let me take this. Nope. Let me take this and drop it down a bit. There we go. We'll add a new sword rapier. We'll do swing and thrust. Does Does a rapier even have a pommel to strike with? I don't think it does, but maybe we'll do that later. 0 and 0, whatever. The important part is we'll make the thrust 1. Swing for a dagger. Do I make that? I feel like that should be 2. Okay, let me take notes over here. So we have dagger, point. No, we have bug, 0. Dagger, point, 1. Dagger, blade width, 2. Then we go like a dagger blade width could be like as long as like maybe like maybe like a couple inches, 4-6 inches. Yeah. And then we can go like, what would be 3? If we scale this up, we could get like an axe head is 3. I think that's fair. Let's look at like a war axe. Okay, so this is like the fantasy. Yeah, these are the big boys. I'm thinking of something like this. How long is this blade? Blade length is 8 inches. Okay, so yeah, that'll be our 3. So actually we can do it this way. Less than 1 inch. No, less than 0.25 an inch, like the smallest. This is less than 0.5 inch. Or maybe we'll do it another tier higher. Less than 0.5, less than 1, less than 2. 3 is gonna be less than 4 inches. Or no, this is up to 8, I guess. Sure, this works. Hold on. I'm trying to think. Technically, even if I add a cover rating value to the armor, which I feel like could be interesting, the question is then, do I let... You still have to roll to hit an attack good enough to slide past the armor, right? Like, even if like your blade is capable of, you know, getting into that gap, you still have to hit the gap. So I would still need some check to be like, oh, you did good enough to hit the weak point. Yeah, okay. think I'm beginning to see the vision. Okay, so then we'll do like axe head. It's like less than 8 inch. That'll be a 3. And then we'll do what's less than 16 inches, like a machete. And then we have 4 foot, so that's like a longsword blade. Oh wait, that's not 4 foot, that's oh, I'm retarded, it's 3. That's less than 3. Okay, so wait, we do short sword here. How long were short swords? I just said that, and now I'm... Control of short sword. Knives such as the sea axe, and other blades similar length between 1 and 2 feet. Okay. So this would be that'd be our short sword then. And then this is our 2 to 1.5 to 3 foot length. I don't know. Something between there. And then 6 would be 64 inches. And that's a little over 5 feet, and that's like our long swords. Okay. Yeah, this should be... We'll try something like this. We'll see how this goes. So what this means, let's go back to here. Size. So the hammers would be something about... probably a 3s. About 4 inches, actually. This might be a 2. And then this is going to be 3, 2. Uh, 1 and 2. And then 1 and I don't know what that's going to be yet. And then Zweihander is going to be 5 on the swing. Two on the thrust. And then 2 on the pommel is fine. Okay, let's go. And then I think I like... how hard is it to one-hand a Zweihander? This is for fucking Dark Souls. Yeah, okay. We're gonna put this a bit higher. I think for this, we're gonna set this up to a D6. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Let's up. Yeah, I think those will be fine. Okay. So, I think we have that done. C68, D4. We're gonna go to strength requirements for the axe. Let's do. I feel like hammer should have more than an axe. So I kind of want to set these to D. No, wrong one. I kind of want to set this to D2s. And then maybe set these to D3s because there's more weight behind what they're supposed to be doing. Something like that, I think. Okay, now let's revisit our, now that we've done this, I think for the armor gaps, the way that this should work is when you attack with it, there is a rating that oh, that's how we do it. The attack success level should be 2 times the difference between the size and the yeah, okay. So if our cover rating, let's go back here. If our cover rating was I don't know. Let's say that there's a CR of 2, which means that there's a very small gap. It's about CR2 that you could expect to see here. Let's imagine that we're attacking with a dagger point of 1. So that means our size difference here is 1. Okay. So that means that you would have to get SL 2 or higher. We just do, it's just 2x the size diff. And then if you're larger than that, it's impossible, because in order to get here, you'd have to hit with the weapon. And so if it was negative, then you wouldn't be able to do this to begin with. Yeah. And then for bugs and stuff, because they're 0, you just have to hit with it. I think that's how we do it. As long as you can hit with it, then you inflict it. And then for other ones, as long as you beat that. So if you're attacking, I don't know, like a golem or something, some massive creature, but it has like a gap in the back that's like size, I don't know, 4 or 3, then a sword could theoretically get through to it, assuming that they rolled really high and were able to puncture it. Okay, I think I like this. Which means, in order for this to work, we need to go into here, and we need to set the CR to be, for just a cap, I mean, I don't think you're gonna have a very, let's see, let's look at our sizes again. CR of a short sword, a full sword would still be able to there's not much gappage there. A full sword should still be able to get past that cap if it hits well enough. So we'll set the CR to 6, and then for a jacket, it's basically just a thick layer of clothing for our lightest of armor. Then to hit body and arm, like, I don't know. You might not be able to get past that very much. We'll do CR3 is actually pretty fair, because you're not going to really be able to, no, we can go 4. Axe should be able to get in there. Linen wraps, it covers nothing, so we should set this to like, I don't know, 9? I'm trying to think of what it would be. The linen wrap shouldn't really, I guess it's to bypass it. So if you're attacking arms, it's basically impossible to bypass the glove if you're hitting the arm. So actually, maybe we go like, maybe we do go like 2. And then padded pants, if you're hitting legs and you're trying to get through cloth pants, I mean, it covers most of the leg. So 3 should be fine, yeah. Okay. Then we're gonna have the leather armors. We'll do leather helmet. There needs to be like a soft leather and like a brigandine or like padded vest, so that's gonna be more. And then we have padded pants, so we wouldn't like, what, leather jeans? What would the leather leggings, I guess. We'll have to do those. Fuck. Okay. Before we go any further, one of the things that I was thinking about the other day that I need to resolve is if we have a sword, like a longsword, a classic longsword, that they are two-handing, right? And they go to swing it at somebody with plate. You're kind of just hoping to hit something, right? Like, if you're just full swinging it, there's not really like a... It's not like you... Like, whenever you swing a weapon wide, it's not like you're really expecting to delicately hit something. So I guess I'm trying to figure out, how do I handle weapons that are kind of doing both? Ugh. Damn, I'm actually... How actually do you do this? Because I guess I could just make each profile have either dex or strength attached to it. And that's what you roll. So it's like, oh, you're a dex weapon, or oh, you're a strength weapon. So if you're, fucking stabbing with the sword, then you have to be very careful where you hit, and it's dex. Or if you're swinging, then it's strength. But I don't even know if that's true, because if I swing a dagger, I'm trying to hit particular locations, right? Or if you watch fencing, they're not just fucking flailing, they're always trying to hit a specific location. So I guess you're always trying to do a hit location in this game. So instead of it, I need to think about this differently. It's just, am I trying to swing with strength or swing with dex? And what is the... I almost want to say you get to pick. Where oh, I want to swing with strength, and so I try to puncture the armor, versus I want to swing with dex, and I try to do a weird fucking tricky bullshit. Oh wait, that can actually be so elegant. When you attack with dex, you're always, you don't get to add strength to the roll to overcome armor. If you hit armor, you hit armor, right? So if if a dagger swings at a guy in plate mail, they're never trying to puncture the armor, so they don't even care about their strength. You're not even rolling with strength at all. Strength never enters the equation. Instead, you're just trying to hit the gap. And if you can hit the gap, then you're set. Then you've done your damage. And you ignore the armor that you would have punctured, right? Or you ignore the armor that you get. You don't have to puncture now. But if you're rolling with strength, then you add your strength and you do try to puncture the armor. That's how you do it. And then do I make it every weapon? Maybe it's a feat or a trait on a weapon that's a noticeable exception, that's this weapon is too cumbersome, it cannot be used as a weak point attack. Or you just make its size of its attack so large that it basically doesn't ever be considered. So that way, a sword used, or even for daggers, like you could be a dagger guy that's like, oh, I'm going to explicitly target this weak point, or it could be like, this guy and I are in like a fucking death wrestle, and none of us have armor, and I do a strength attack with the dagger to fucking plunge it into his chest, and get like a really good hit. Okay, so if you roll... If you roll... So, hold on. I need to make sure that I'm not complicating this too much. This idea is fine. I think it works. It just needs to make sure that it's not too much in the grand scheme of the combat, because I feel like I'm adding more and more rules this combat. We need to recheck. So when I declare an attack, I set a focus on the target. Then I write down the attack, the weapon profile. So this would be like Zweihänder swing. That's what you'd write down. So you'd write. Then you do the target, the location, and strength or dex. Okay, we're gonna have to play test this, but I don't think this is the most unreasonable. I just can't add anything else to this declaration. That is fucking plenty. Okay, now that we've thought this through, and then yeah, so for strength, it's strength roll plus weapon durability. Versus whatever that they decide to do. Yeah. And armor, and if they fail, armor. If they succeed, then you subtract armor value. And then if it's dex, you add you don't add anything actually. It's just dex versus whatever they do versus armor size or size diff times 2. Am I doing this right? You just want the size diff between the armor and the weapon, and then you check it times 2. Do I really want it to be times 2? Because that means like a long sword, it's always going to have, unless it's attacking something fucking massive, it's always going to have to hit like a 6. Because If the longsword size is 6, that means that the smallest thing that it could hit is a I guess if it's size 6, then it's 0. Oh, wait, fuck. No, the math doesn't work out. Maybe it's just if size diff bypass and then beat X armor. Or beat X SL. Beat like the bonus that they have because you are trying to penetrate a specific point. Oh, that's what we do. We invert the number. Instead of this being size, we label this as accuracy. And then we make it just have to, and then because now it's a bigger number than a smaller number, then the cover rating we invert as well, so that, and then your goal is to beat that number with your bonus SL. So theoretically, you could hit a weak... Do I want you to theoretically be able to hit a weak point? Let's think it through. If like a dagger has like... Let's imagine that our 10 is our max. And dagger has a... cause 9, because the 10 is the fucking... 10 is the whatchamacallit, the bugs. Let's imagine it's a 9. Let's imagine this linen wrap is, I don't know, we'll say a 7 or an 8. Then you'd have to get at least 2 SL. Is that the idea? And then if you're a longsword, the difference would be like... It's a 5-point difference. So instead of being 9, it would be 4. And you would need an 8 SL to properly penetrate the same weak point. That's not horrible. I don't hate that math. For the slash of a longsword to hit the same weak point that a dagger's like tip does, that's not a bad math workout. Okay. Yeah, let's do that. So we'll say 10 is max and 10 is bug. So then this would... We just invert these numbers, basically. We make this 9, 8, 8, 7, 8, 7, 9, 6, 7, there are no 8 and 8. Let's redo these. So this is going to be 10, 9, no, the right-hander blade is going to be a 4. Okay. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. I think that's right. Okay. Cool. And then this should also be inverted, so these are going to be an 8. And that's going to be a 6, I think. The linen wraps, the point was that a dagger's pinpoint might get to it. The swing is not even going to have a... Oh wait, if I do it this way, the linen wrap should be a 9. Where if you slice at it with the dagger, then you're... Oh, wait, and this is what we can label as called shot. Instead of having to fucking think of this, like, do strength versus dex. So you just be like, oh, called shot, you roll dex. Strength, you roll... Everything else, you roll strength. Okay. Yeah, no. Okay, so we're gonna go here. So yeah, 9 for knife, 8 for that, 8 for that, 8 for that, 7 for these. Yeah. 8. Honestly, I'm gonna make this a 7. Just because it's like a pommel. And it's kind of dull. It doesn't have a ton of insertion to it. And then make that a 4. Hold on, someone's messaging me. Don't you fucking love that? When someone's like, hey, are you doing something? And then you message back, and then they just don't answer. Isn't it great? All right, I'll leave that for later. So we have these need to be that. That is, I think that's all correct. And then rapier should be bleed. Do I make a discrepancy between stabbed bleed and slashed bleed? I think I do. Like, puncture bleed, its goal is to hit like a deep organ, right? But like slash bleed, you're either trying to like rip it in half or you're trying to like slice it in half, or you're trying to like I don't know, it's like it's different, I feel like. I don't know how to represent that mechanically. Maybe your slashing bleed, like, fuck, does one more, like, makes the size of the weak points on the armor at this location wider. Maybe that's the bit. You're just trying to cut up the area. Let me rename this to accuracy before I forget. Slide that out of the way. You should be closed. Okay. Then I should go back here. Wait, did I never invert this? That should be that, I think. Pants should be pretty hard to get past. And then these... Honestly, pants, I don't even know what weak point you'd have. Like the feet? I'm just realizing it still doesn't fix the issue with them having the same number. Right? Because if your CR of your jacket is 6, and then the accuracy of the weapon is 6, then that's still you just need to hit in order to penetrate that, which I feel like should not be the case. Maybe maybe I just plus or minus 1 all the weapon accuracies so that you have to hit at least 2 every time. That's actually might be what I do. If we drop these, or no, I need to be 6, and then I make this 7, and then that's 7. I need to be able to do math. God, 8, and then that's 3, 7, and 6. If we do it this way, then a dagger that wants to penetrate a linen wrap, it needs to roll at least a 2 all the time. And then for pants it's 0. But now that's Is it reasonable to make it so that anytime you would hit, you're going to hit the weak point simply because of how accurate the weapon is? I feel like the answer is no. But you also have a riskier attack, theoretically, because you're doing its dex. and you're not, you don't get your weapon durability bonus, I guess. Let's see, Dex and Dex versus Strength and Strength. Do I still do the weapon size bit? I mean, accuracy applying to these would be... Oh, now it's so much easier to do the math, because I just say, oh, your accuracy is 8, mine's 6. Okay, I get 2. Yeah, I don't hate this. Okay. So this technically does mean... I guess I'm trying to figure out which one's harder to hit with. Because if you're doing accuracy, the numbers are going to be a relatively flatter. Hey Yoshi, I'm going pretty good. I'm just trying to do math and it's kicking my ass. Okay. So accuracy is the accuracy comparison easier than the durability comparison? I feel like it's... What about you? How you doing? Oh. So let's assume that, what's our most accurate normally? Our most accurate might be like, a dagger doing like a plus, Rust Discord bot thing. Oh, you're like making a Discord bot? That's pretty sick. Okay, dagger plus... Fuck, because you have to... Let's say that we have... This is our default, so then it's going to be dagger plus 5 versus... that dex, so you're basically blocking that is painful. Oh, Rust the coding language, right? Yeah, okay. Rust has... They've set up Rust for Discord bots? Okay. That's interesting. I'd have assumed it's all in like Python or JavaScript. Dagger plus 5 versus dagger. Oh, I don't like this. This is a... I think this creates like Serenity and Twilight for that. Oh, okay, cool. No, I'm fucking this up. This is wrong. I think I'm... Okay, what is happening that I like? What is happening that I don't like? And how do we get... Okay. Let's reformat. I like the idea that you can declare strength versus dex on a weapon attack. I think that's good. The combat feels too complex at any one point. The math is wrong for breaking what's wrong about the math? What's off? There's a red flag and I'm having a hard time putting my finger on it. It's something about it's Linux Mint, although I think it is Cinnamon. It is Linux Mint 2022 Cinnamon. So you got it. I swapped over like, I don't know, a couple months ago, 2 or 3 months ago. Because I got sick and tired of Windows. Okay, so... Fuck. I think the issue I have with this math, maybe it's just because I'm still trying to figure it out. Yeah. Yeah, my friends all made fun of me for the swap, but it is so much nicer. The only issues I currently have is every now and then I have issues playing a few games, and my real saddest thing so far is that I lost Wallpaper Engine. I loved Wallpaper Engine. But I'm sure there's some workaround, I just haven't bothered to figure it out yet. Fuck. Okay. We have... okay. I feel like if I'm explaining this... Let's... Hold on. Sorry, I'm fucking stun locked in the middle of this problem. Okay. Let's walk through a couple. So the idea is, let's do dagger versus longsword. So I have a dagger, you have a longsword. Let's say that we have relatively decent builds for our particular weapon as our point of target. So we've got like a rogue with a dagger. We have a guy with a longsword. Okay. The guy with the dagger wants to hit the guy with the longsword, so he's got to get close up. So let's imagine he tries to move up, and then he's going to declare an attack, and he's going to do a stab attack. Okay, so he declares a stab attack at the guy, at the longsword, with the dagger, and then he's declaring it as, let's say the guy has armor on, so he's going to declare it as a called shot, which means it's going to use dex. Or we could just write CS. Okay, so we're going to have that. And then let's say his attack goes off first. Let's just walk through this. So his attack goes off first. So the longsword guy decides to try to block it. So we look at the differences between these. Let's say it's Winder because I haven't implemented a longsword yet. So that's going to be Dex +8 versus Dex +3. So it's a +5 already. That's too strong, I think. But we'll see. So we roll those off. Now, the dagger guy's going to have better Dex pretty much always anyways. So let's just imagine that it's going to be... Let's imagine that the roll-off results in a total difference of... Let's even get in the benefit of the doubt. Let's say it's a difference of 4. Okay. If it's a difference of 4, it still hits. Because you're just rolling against the stat difference. So no, we can't incorporate size in here. Incorporating size or accuracy into here is going to break this numbers way too hard. Unless we find a way to tone it down. So then we have Dex versus Dex. And then let's imagine that we managed to get an SL of 2. And then we go, alright, cool. Well, that hits. So then what I should do is I look at the location of the armor and we go, does the dagger, slip between the armor? And we go, oh, look at that. It does. And then it slips through. It deals like a small amount of damage, like 3 or 4 or whatever. And it'll deal bleed. So it inflicts like 4 bleed on the spot. And then I think the way we'd set up the new bleed was... at the end of each round you'll lose that much blood. Yes. But only if it's like... I think you have like a total of like 20 now, or some higher number. Okay. What is the issues with this and what... Okay. The size is an issue. Size math is wrong. The next issue is going to be the I think I'm okay with the dagger being hard to block, because A, that's pretty accurate. Like a longsword trying to block a dagger in close combat is pretty fucked. You're not going to make a ton of ground there. So the dagger having that advantage I think is fine, especially because the dagger has less range, so you want to reward somebody for getting up close in there. I think the math is off with the size. And then I think if we turn this around, and the sword goes to attack the dagger, the sword could choose... The sword's probably going to be choosing strength. Okay, so let's imagine how that works. The sword declares an attack at the dagger. Not a called shot, so no strength. And that's going to be strength versus strength, with the bonus of, plus weapon durability. And plus weapon durability. And they're gonna try to clash. If the sword... Okay. They do the clash, and then it checks against the armor after that. So the issue I'm seeing here is that, assuming that the weapon differences don't have crazy mods, then the strength has more resistances, reducing the total damage done at the end, which feels wrong for the fact that the dagger, the thing rolling dex should have the more resistances because you're not incorporating your strength as much. So the solution to this is let's see, there's a few. One, we could add a penetration armor pen number. And the armor pen is how easily the armor it can break through an armor. That's one way. So it's another form of reduction on the armor value in the same way that the knife bypasses it. That's one option. Another option is the dagger still has to deal with a resistance when it gets to the end. Now, I don't know what that resistance would be, but it could be there. I like the idea of it slipping through the armor. I think I'm okay with that. I think maybe if we have the difference in the weapons, so instead of it being a difference of 5, it's a difference of 2. That would be a bit more reasonable. The issue is that what do you... there's something conceptually wrong here still. It's not the math. Okay, if I swing with a dagger... yeah, game development is a bitch and a half. If I just want to swing, here's the issue that I'm running into. I want to do something where a pinpoint accurate weapon, like a dagger, has to get blocked by something attempting to hit the pinpoint accurate point. Which makes me think that if I'm attacking with dex, you have to block with dex. You're trying to maneuver your body to hit a pinpoint spot, just like I am, except you're trying to respond to mine. So then the thought is, okay, sure, well, that's gonna somewhat depend on the weapon. So if I'm attacking with a dagger, and you are holding a big fucking great axe, it should be harder for you to hit the particular point, because you have to maneuver this weapon in a weird way, like off the cuff, to get it there. So then the thought is, well, we would just compare like the size of the weapon as like our point of origin, where it's like, I'll just take the size of the weapon from mine and the size of the weapon from yours, and that's the distinguishing factor here. Or like how accurate the weapon is at a particular axis. But then the issue is that if I do it that way, I either have to raise all of the numbers for most of the weapons such that the accuracy becomes way less differential, like they're much closer together, or I have to reduce the accuracy post haste, because otherwise, like, +5 on a roll is really bad. That's a really bad discrepancy for a dagger and a common weapon. Because keep in mind, or consider this in case you're just joining, I'm using I'm not using the d20 to roll with. I'm using we're using like d4s, d6s, d8s, so your stat scales the number. So I think humans are going to average d4 on start, and then you're going to be able to go up to, like, human max will be like, I don't know, 4 plus d8 or something like that. Or no, sorry, 10 plus d2 or something, probably 10 plus d2. Which means, or maybe 10 plus d4. I don't know if I want to end on a d2. The important point I'm getting at is that having a dagger that has that issue, or having a +5 to hit versus another normal weapon, no modifiers, is way too fucking extreme. So I guess I could cut it down even like +2 is a crazy difference. Like if I'm rolling a d4 and you're rolling a d4 and neither of us are super trained with these weapons, getting a +2 is pretty strong. But also, it's strong, but is it inaccurate? Like if I have a dagger and you have a sword, blocking a sword with blocking a dagger with a sword is really fucking hard. That's a hard ask. Maybe a +2 is accurate, actually. So if we cut it in half, maybe the numbers work out actually pretty well. I could also increase the range so that the +2, so that the divide by 2 is better. You know, like, does the axe head... But even if I have a small weapon, like even if I only am using... Let's imagine I have like a single hand, so like holding a small axe in one hand. If I swing that to block your dagger, I still have to do a lot of work to get there. Like, it doesn't matter that my weapon is smaller. I still have to hit your dagger midair. That's a bitch to do. So maybe I don't even conceptualize the blocking weapon. You only conceptualize the attacking weapon for the how small it is to hit. So maybe you just have to, the blocker just has to roll and see if they hit the size of hit the weapon. Maybe that's all you do. And then the attacker doesn't get fuck. You still have to, it still has to be hard. Honestly, I feel like I'm thinking about this wrong. I feel like maybe it's easier if you have a bigger weapon. Because I was thinking about it like trying to maneuver the big weapon to hit the dagger. But if that's what we're considering, then a smaller weapon would be harder to do that with. And then that way I could make the shield size, like when I add a shield, I can scale that up to be appropriate because, oh, it's big enough so it's easier to block smaller weapons. And maybe I do it that way. So then maybe it's the bigger the weapon, the easier it is to block a smaller weapon. And then maybe I just give you feats and abilities to try to slip the dagger through anyways, which would then mean that the way I should be doing this is the weapon size should be penalized for the attacker. So if I'm attacking with an 8 and you're blocking with a Zweihander, the Zweihander shouldn't be a 3. That's the problem already. If I'm blocking with a 6, I'm trying to block you with a Warhammer, then I should get a +1 or something. I don't know. Okay, let's scale it out from a dagger because it's harder to conceptualize. If we're doing 2 swords and I try to do a stabbing sword attack and you would just have to push the sword away basically, then you should have a bonus to it. So yeah, okay. So the difference could be, take the difference of the profiles and then get that much halved, or maybe I just decrease the numbers. I might just decrease the numbers. You roll that, you add the half. But I think it should probably be an all or nothing. If you don't hit that weapon, then it should gain the full damage going into you. Okay. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do. Yeah, we're gonna do accuracy plus the accuracy. So actually, it needs to be. Fuck, I think we do flip these numbers back. We do make this a size stat, and then we set the armor's cover rating to be like a gap rating or something, and then as long as the size is under that, then you are... Fuck it. For now, I'm just gonna make it assume that you go through the armor. So the linen wraps, you have to beat it by 1. And then for these, we're going to say you beat it by 4. We'll do 3, actually, just in case. And then we'll do this as 2. Or no, this should be 0. Yeah, and then we'll invert these numbers back. So this will be a 1. We'll make it less than or equal to. So that way it's easier to think through. And so then it's 1, and then this should be 2, 2, 3, 2, 3, no, the size was about the same on these, so that's fine. And then you should be 1, and you should be 2, no, swing would be like a 5, and then that's gonna be 2, and that's gonna be like 3. Okay, so yeah, that's how we'll do it. Just automatically, if you hit them and your size is less, then you get through a gap of the armor. That's how I'm gonna do it. For now, we'll see how that goes. If it's too much of a problem, I can add a, make sure you rolled X or better regardless, and then yeah, I think, and then we'll go all or nothing on the called shot. So you don't get to like mitigate the damage. It's either a hit or it didn't. Do I do hit or it didn't? Because that does technically mean that the, well, no, that does make sense because the called shot would then do more damage, more likely. It's more likely to do more damage. And this, which I guess in some ways is good because it's a called shot. But then on the flip side, okay, if it's strength, fuck, I keep losing my train of thought. Yeah, so it's a called shot, so that's kind of good because then it's easy. Once you pin, it's more noticeable. It's like, oh yeah, I spent more effort to get this in. Oh, maybe I make it, maybe I just make called shots cost stamina. Or concentration, actually, would probably be the better one. Concentration make this so much simpler. You just make it cost concentration. Let me check my stats real quick. Yeah, no, I think it would just make it cost concentration to do these. Okay. Yeah, we make a concentration. I think that's how we do this. Oh shit, I didn't see it. Thanks, Yoshi, for the follow. I totally did not catch that a second ago. My alerts are hidden underneath my chat. Rip. I wonder if he's still here. Okay, so... Okay, size, we need to do... range, right. No, wait, why do these have 2-foot range? Those should be 0. How long is this Zweihander? About 5 feet? Okay, then yeah, that's what I thought. We're gonna set these to 6. Okay, and then these can be what? How long was that axe? Overall length is 31 inches. So about 3 feet. So yeah, we make that 4. That's fine. Okay. Is it really? If you start here, start at the handle, and go up. Is it really gonna be 4 feet, or is it gonna be like 2? It's gonna be more like 2. Yeah, hold on. How long are rapiers? About 4 feet? Okay. Okay. What time is it? It's only been an hour and a half? Okay. Let's go. Okay. Yeah, I think I have. Ooh, maybe I just. Okay, hold on. I need to like mentally reset for a second. That math was frying my brain. Give me like I don't know, 5-10 minutes. I'm gonna step away for a second. Let's pop over to just a new tab. There we go, so that you can see the AFK text. Okay, and if I do, that did not do it. Okay, hold on. Oh, man. Okay. I can't believe it's only been an hour and a half, and I already have a fucking killer headache. Oh, it's just too much. Listen, my brain is just not able to do this all the time. Fuck me. Okay. So... Sorry. Opening a wrapper. I'm realizing this sound gate is not going to ever be useful for this. Oh, I'm just going to mute real quick. Hold on. Okay. So where are we now? What needs to happen? Oh, this needs a size. Let's go with like a 3. Maybe go 4. Okay. Let's recheck the notes. Armor gaps. I think we've solved this, I think, for now. You have to just have under it once it hits, and if you do, you penetrate. You don't even have to hit very well. I think I just accept that. I think it's just what we're gonna do for now. And if it becomes a problem, we can fix it in post, okay? Hopefully gonna have a playtest in a week or two, so we'll get to it when we get to it. I think for the attack formula, that's the big thing that needs to get clarified right now, and I need to feel confident in it. I think that if we look at the not called shot, which is my strength and weapon durability versus your armor, I think that that is a totally is it totally fair? I don't know. I'm trying to figure out if it's... I think I might have to change... Okay, here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that being able to block every attack, I think is too good. It works for some rule sets. I feel like for this rule set, because the action economy is so limited, I feel like I need something else in there. And so my thought is... basically, you have to, because of the stamina system I've added, we'll just have it so that every time that you block, you have to spend X amount of stamina. And you'll do that by rolling a strength check, and you will clash, and you'll spend as much as you need to. And then... Yeah, okay, here's what we'll do. If you are attacking with a strength weapon, then versus strength, and you want to block it, then you both roll strength checks, and you compare your... But the defender has to roll at disadvantage, so that they're less likely to always get it through. And then you add in weapon durability to both of them. So that way, if you have like a much stronger weapon, you're able to clash easier. And then also because the blocker's a disadvantage, they're going to not roll as high, and then you spend stamina equal to the difference. So if you block super well and they attack super poorly, it's a very easy block, versus if you clash really well, then you can feel the difference. Okay, I like this. That regardless of what happens, that's going in there. So you can block at by rolling your weapon, by rolling your strength and adding weapon durability, and spending strength equal to difference. Rolling your strength at disadvantage. And then if you're like, then we'll have the really sick moment where like the really, really strong monster can keep fucking blocking you till the end of time because they don't give a fuck. And then if they don't block you, then it's into armor. Makes sense. Super easy to do. Okay. Then on the flip side, if you're doing called shot, you're using Dex. So it's going to be Dex plus, I think we decided it was finally at the end of it. It was just Dex versus Dex. But that's if I don't allow you to block every time, then you have to spend... I think it'd be more interesting if Dex users have to use concentration, where they have to like focus. So a Dex user has to attack with focus, or sorry, a called shot uses focus, and so Dex attacks are going to be constant like sniping called shot attacks to get past the armor. And then if you want to block them, you have to use concentration back to focus on the spot to block it, because there's not as much force going into the called shot. You don't have to like strength block it. You have to like, it's the concentration of keeping up with what they attack you with. And then if we do it that way, then you also would probably roll to the difference. So if you're rolling Dex into Dex, then they just have to, then we do the same thing we did with the strength roll, but with that, and then you would have to, and then we would incorporate, do we incorporate accuracy here? Oh, that's what you do. You spend concentration equal to the difference in size plus the difference in roll. Spend concentration equal to size diff plus roll diff. That's what you do. So that way it doesn't affect the damage. You're just affecting that. And then if you fail the Dex roll, see, I had an idea that whenever if the difference in your strength was plus your weapon durability was too high, then the weapons would break, right? So if like If you attack with like a fucking obsidian sword and you're pretty strong, and you go up against someone who's like decently weak and they have like a, I don't know, an iron sword, the weapon on them would probably just shatter. But I wonder if you could do something similar here, where if the difference is too high, but it wouldn't be between the speeds, it'd have to be between the rolls, then you just miss. Because I guess right now the idea is that if you spend this reaction, then you are always blocking the attack. And I don't necessarily know if I want to do that. I feel like there should be a mischance in blocking. And I feel like the... okay, for the strength one, if you roll lower, then you always take one wound, maybe? You just get like a... Or do you take cuts equal to the difference? What would it be? I like the idea of spending stamina equal to the difference, because you're putting in a whole fuck ton of work to block it. That's fine with me. Then the question becomes, do you also, if you lose the roll, do you also lose health equal to the difference? Because that could be crazy. If you, like, fuck up a block, that would be devastating. Huh. Maybe you have to... is it really going to be that punishing? You always spend the stamina, and if you fail, you lose that much health? Oh, that feels so punishing. I feel like I'm fucking it up if I do it that much. That's brutal. I feel like I'm being stuck again. Fuck me. I want you to be able to fail the block. How the fuck do I do this? If I make you, I could make you roll the opposite test. Right? Like if you, yeah, I could make you roll the opposite test. So if you want to clash it, first you have to pass the pass a dex check, and if you want to block the dex attack, first you have to pass a strength check. If you do that, then you actually do stop it. And that way it rewards people for taking both instead of just specking one or the other. I don't hate that, actually. That works for me, I think. Fuck. I'm sorry. I'm getting such a headache. I might just have to call the stream early. Oh my god. Focusing on this is killing me. Oh, I should have done this earlier in the day. Fuck. I just keep zoning out. I'm going back tomorrow to work on this. Assuming something crazy doesn't happen at work, I will be here tomorrow, but Jesus Christ. I might fuck around with this some more tomorrow on my lunch break and see if I can come up with something. I'm just out of it. Alright. See you guys. See you guys next time.